Good morning, good morning, good morning. Just thought I would sit out here this morning and talk about gender because gender is like a fucking big old thing at the moment. And, or it's for a while. For a while it's been a big old thing. I don't know why, but I'm going to speak openly and honestly about my interactions with gender biases. As a man wearing a fucking sports bra, which basically is just a wrap. It was wrapped around my chest, which holds my ribs in, which makes me able to sense the muscles there and then use my body better. Same with a lot of the hip stuff that I've been doing. Turns out that women's apparel is more suited to my body's movement, to its actual movement, and not this kind of fictitious movement that well, maybe it's fictitious or maybe it's just not my movement. I'm still yet to find out, I don't know. But hopefully you can look past all those things and you can listen unbiasedly to what I'm about to say. So, the end of, not last year, the year before, I spent 2 weeks in prison and then did 9 months community parole, basically parole. Like I got suspended I got sentenced to 9 months in prison for sharing some photographs of my family online and making a phone call in which I was trying to organise logistics around my 3 children. And not one of these things that I was accused of of violence, this is what it was accused of violence, not one of these things was physical violence. Not one of these things utilised any type of masculine advantage that I may have been perceived to have had. I can 100% say that the reasoning behind all of my actions was to try and negotiate with my children's mother about the safety, the well-being, the future of my children. Something that we've been doing for for like 19 years together. All of this stopped to a screaming halt approximately 1 or 2 weeks after the mandates instituted by Mark McGowan. This is crazy. There's all these things, there's all this trans stuff going on, there's all this gender stuff going on, there's all these women's rights. I basically had every right that I assumed I had, that have been written about for hundreds of years, removed by a vindictive woman who had an interest in revenge onto me. And this is where I'm not even going to blame that woman. Women have never had access to that type of power, and well, some women have. But giving access like that to all women is so extraordinarily dangerous, because there is no check. There was no, not even a thing for her to check on my well-being for anything. It just a button that she kept pressing, and somebody or some institutions or some professionals kept telling her to press that button. Now at the other end of that button was me, and that process basically stuck me. It's the equivalent of holding someone upside down off the edge of a building. Somehow I am still here. I don't exactly know how. I think it's because the only thing is that I've seen the damage that a loss of a family member like that can cause, with my brother dying. And so the idea of any of those things just weren't there. But basically the whole time I've been on a precipice of leaving, of disappearing off the face of the fucking earth, because of just the craziness of all of this. This is finalised recently by my mother doing the same thing on discussion with her about some of the what I consider abuse when I was a child. She was able to have me forcibly removed by 2 police from the family property that I had been on for 13 years, that I had sought refuge from all of this on. She sat there for a year and a half, listening to the griefs about what was happening with my children's mother, and then did the exact same thing, using the exact same tools. And she did this 10 minutes after leaving a mental institution, which, because of that mental illness, she has been supported by our government for over 50 years. The whole pandemic, I've never sought support from the government because I've believed that we're in the middle of a coup. We're in the middle of some type of socialist communist coup, in which they believed that because of our technologies they could completely encircle us and control us like we're Sky Electric cars. We're a remote control car system, very much like Fortescue's trying to do these electric trucks. Look, the electric trucks opens up a whole kind of set of problems, mainly mass layoffs. But compared to mass government control using these digital concepts, that looks like nothing. I'd cheer him on and be like, yeah, you go, Twiggy, with your remote control trucks. Just don't enslave us all in a digital fucking prison. But I guess I want to just say, sorry, my phone dropping. I can't tell right now. I'm conflicted. I'm trying to not consume any type of media that's trying to prime me. I'm just trying to feel whatever it is I'm doing, and like unbiasedly like look at it. I have always had a thing with the female, with wanting to look female for as long as I can remember. But I haven't been massively like that. I've also been quite masculine. But I think basically the thing of this, like the craziness of this all happening, it's not like I was going and swinging baseball bats around. I didn't hit anyone. Myself, I've only actually ever been a victim of violence. I was almost killed by 20 men. 2 groups of 10 men kicked the shit out of me on the ground. I don't exactly know what I was exhibiting at that time, but based on recent things, I'm fairly concerned that perhaps I was projecting a more feminine personality or something like that, and those individuals beat the shit out of me. I had discussions with my father once, who was very old, who was born in 1932. He told me about occasions where they would literally go out looking for gay people or whatever, different people, and beat them up. I don't exactly know whether that's that. I don't know any of it. But I know that when I forget all these things and just concentrate on my body, which I've had 10 years of like absolute, after that beating, had 10 years of like, well, it was probably 5 years of elevating pain coming from my hips. I was told by 2 orthopedic surgeons that I needed both my hips replaced. Since getting on my own developed kind of physio, like rehab protocol, and just which involved like lots of walking, lots of barefoot walking on like rocks and gravel. That kind of stimulated my feet back into being alive. And now finally I'm at a place where I feel my tendons and things are strong enough to work on hip mobility, and that is crazy. So all of this is like systemic, out of control abuse on anyone who's exhibiting whatever the hell it is I'm exhibiting, that I didn't even know. I spent not the last year, but the last 2 years before that being critical of the whole thing. I've never felt the need to the plant failed a little bit. Yeah, except for recently, when I've just kind of been like, oh fuck it, I'll show this thing. I've never felt the need to like wave it in anyone's face. Like there are weird actual things, which is crazy because I spend a lot of time criticizing it. The more I go into this, I do actually get a bit weirded out by being called a man, but that's, I don't know. I would never expect anyone to fucking change anything. I don't even fucking know what it is. And the only reason I'm talking about it is because it's like I think it's important because of the things. It's like if someone was waving a sword around and was trying to chop my legs off, it'd be all over the news. But 2 doctors can sit there and try and charge me, so they're robbing me and mutilating me at the same time for something that may stem back to like a literal gender adaptation to do with constant abuse from women. That's pretty fucking horrific. There's no proof, but I'm saying, hey, this is an introductory thing. And it's seen the fervour that I've seen from these women. It's like what's the thing? No, nothing like a woman's scorn. And it's like, I'm actually still a little bit in shock from what I've seen from my mother, my sister, and my ex-partner, my children's mother. It's vicious. It's horrific. It's outsourced. It's like unrelenting. The amount of paperwork that's been issued on me by this like deaf, dumb, and mute system of government that's piping out one end, celebrating these types of things to the extroverted people waving their tits on fucking the White House lawn, whilst at the same time leading to out of control abuse of people that are not knowing what's going on. The scale of the whole thing now there probably is some type of phenomenon, whether it's evolutionary, whether it's interaction with chemicals, whether it's interaction with media. I don't know what it is, but it's definitely existing. And I guess I'm at despite being open in lots of other things, I'm at the closed end of that spectrum. And I assume there's probably people far more closeted, far more ashamed of what's going on with their bodies and their minds than I am. I'm somewhere maybe in the middle, but still leaning towards that silent side. But the results that I feel just by changing in my mind the shape of my body, which is literally what it is, means that my body works properly for the first time. Not being around environments where I have to project a kind of masculine form out of protection. That is always protection. It's always to project something that protects me from violence, and I've been affected by violence massively. But the craziest thing is like none of these things that I've been accused of, none of them factor in that I'm masculine or male. None of it has anything. They're social media posts trying to address my children, and there is another man involved. in the whole thing, in the whole time, there has been another man involved. So I literally cannot get to, I just am weirded out by the whole thing. What makes it really weird as well, and this is what I figured out last night, and this is what I'm going to use to at least try and legally stop what's been going on, is that my business I was pretty much running at a loss because of the pandemic, because of research and development, because of preparing to scale my business, which just meant I wasn't drawing any money. It was all development. I was working sometimes 60 plus hours a week and making no money in order to prepare the business to make that leap. This was all done through a discretionary family trust, to which myself and the children's mother were both owners of. The two individuals that took out the violence restraining order, they sabotaged that business, one of them having full rights to the financials, sabotaged my income source and my business and their asset and my children's asset, and then used our state government's negligent and incompetent system to try and force me to pay child support despite destroying my income. And then when I didn't do that, they sent me to jail for sharing a Facebook photo that already existed on Facebook. This, we're not in we're not in Kansas anymore. We haven't been for 4 years. There is a serious problem. My reasoning behind falling back to the Crown is because that's all I had left, and also I do believe that is an important structure. And the fact that these police officers arrived, I told them this, that was disregarded. The fact that they're displaying the wrong crown on their uniforms leads me to no other assumption that this West Australian government is fraudulently in control. They're based on their own system. They are using a false attachment to a historical tie that is a coup. There's no other way to describe it. They have not adjusted any of their protocol based on the new king. They are failing to use international law when negotiating with something that is this serious. This isn't these are human rights issues, with myself being exposed to them and tortured by them, but countless others not in the position that I'm in to present this, or to know what's going on. They're just assuming that this is legitimate. None of it is legitimate. It's completely out of control, and we need to wake up to it. We need to start pointing fingers at this government and saying, what authority are you using to do this? We want to see the chain of command. I've never seen anything from anyone higher up in Western Australia. We're in the middle of a coup that's failing, and we need to point fingers, and we need these people to be in custody for doing this. They've led to the almost total destruction of our society. It's mind-blowing. and all the systems that are tied into it. This surgical intervention obsession is leaving people mutilated and with massive on-flow, like, medical issues because of it. And if it's based on something like what I believe it is, I believe it's based on our diet of what we're consuming to do with movement. And I just really do thank God that I didn't get those surgeries, that I stuck with it, that I went through the pain and went through the weirdness and the isolation and all these things to try and fix myself. And even now it still feels freaking weird because I don't, but like it's just fucked. It's no one wants to be fucking weird. No one wants to be that different. No one wants to stand out and, I don't know, with these things. But the pain, and this is the thing, it's not like, when I'd heard it described, they're like, oh, the pain of being in the wrong body. There's a little bit of that. But I was in physical, actual, excruciating pain from my body being the wrong way. Not like it's explained, like, oh, like children, there's no way children are going to have this. It took me like 20 years of being in the wrong way and doing a really physical job. Like, it's not emotional pain. There is a little bit of that, especially now, I'm like weirded out by it and nervous about it and like scared about it, which I suppose is something. But the physical pain involved in holding the wrong form, in forcing my body to conform to something that it doesn't actually thrive in, that is very weird. And now that I'm getting to these points, thanks to like a lot of help from my current partner, yeah, something needs to be done. And this all kind of tracks back to this scale matters advice. Like, we need to see people actually being people all the time, free, not in these curated environments. Even teachers will present a form, like what we see on media. If we're just seeing sports stars just playing sport, we need to see people all the time. Like, we need to see how they move and how their bodies work, because we're imitators. We imitate. We see monkey do, and I believe we're at a very dangerous state of like mass mental disorder to do with the way that we look and the way that we present ourselves and the way that we use our bodies and the way that we just all these things. And either I'm some type of anomaly where I was born in the wrong body, like they say, or something like that, or whether it's all men, I don't fucking know. I don't know. But yeah, some serious work needs to be done in exposing what's been going on, because not just in this case, not one thing of my masculine attributes were utilized. And then on further examination, I'm like, well, I'm dealing with potentially a government coup. It's like, there is no side of my masculine advantages that are benefiting me at all. They're only being disadvantages. There's nothing at all that advantages me. It's a total disadvantage. And that is a scary state if people are allowed to. All these people are doing this without any communication. They're not explaining what they're doing. They're not explaining what their goals are in the future with my children, with family properties, with the health care of my mother, anything. They're just using the tools that this government has given them recklessly and without concern for anyone's well-being. And this seems to be some type of outsourced torture mechanism used by a government attempting to overthrow hundreds and hundreds of years of tradition. And basically, like, these videos are a last-ditch effort to try and civilly communicate, because if this tips over a line, a certain line, there'll be no stopping it. There'll be utter retaliation, like just all over the place, in chaos, once enough people are triggered to this. And so my only thought right now is to maintain civilized order despite losing so much ground to this robotic monstrosity that has been installed in place of a healthy and thriving government. And if I've got to put on a fucking sports bra and fucking makeup to do that, then I'll fucking do whatever. I don't give a shit anymore. Yeah, but just the one thing I'm saying is, like, the PR, the marketing around this phenomenon that's obviously global, that's kind of long lasting, is way different to what my interpretation of the actual phenomenon is, from a person who's been on all sides of it. Like, that, it's not, I'm not fucking happy particularly about this. I was quite happy being a man, or being masculine. I don't really know what cause is. I can say I haven't done it, like, I'm not on any hormones or anything like that. And I am feeling better than I have ever felt. Well, feeling better than I've felt in, like, over 10 years. So yeah, I guess this is the other side of the story. I haven't spoken to any of my friends or anything like that to know, like, but I have always been a bit different, especially on these things. Like, I've just, but it wasn't a thing. We didn't have it when we were kids and teenagers. We didn't have anything. We knew in Thailand and stuff there was ladyboys, but I never went to Thailand. There wasn't any porn. There wasn't any, like, I remember Big Brother. There was a trans person on that. But I don't know. It was, like, very out of our minds. Yeah. Anyway, long video from the plant. Plant has done well. It's done a good job in holding my phone. Hopefully the volume's loud. Even now, like, I'm like trying to not be loud because it fucking is weird. I'm in a place that haven't been before. Yeah, it makes me like basically all I want to do is disappear to somewhere where nobody knows me, in order to, like, do whatever my body's doing.